one day you wake up and the door is wide open. I caused the husband and wife to split. Do they have 100 people that they have murdered? Do you think Allah is gonna forgive you? Why are you acting like you're pious now?
Wallah, mashallah, that was amazingly said, and I feel like it's a great transition to our questions. We got some questions from our listeners, and actually one of the questions you answered perfectly, and one of the questions was, how can I maximize my Ramadan?
Okay.
And I feel like what you answered so far puts it in perfect perspective, unless you want to add on anything. But another question that someone asked is that, how can I like make the most out of it in terms of like, should I delete my social media? Like, what should I, like, maybe a couple of practical steps on making the most use of the time in Ramadan?
That's a good question. You know, there's certain things that diminish the reward of fasting, right? A lot of times when we're studying or we want to learn those things that will ruin my fast, we focus on those things that break our fast. So I can't drink water, I can't eat food, I can't do those things. But there are certain things that do not necessarily break your fast, but they make you lose out the reward of your fast. And those are all forms of sins, all form of evil deeds, right? All forms of filth that a person might look at, a person might say, a person might listen to, right? Actions that are of evil, right? Whether it's, things that we say, whether it's backbiting, slandering, insulting, right? Cursing and swearing at people and using foul language, right? Instigating and fighting people and trying to be somebody who's, just causing problems to others, right? Treating people badly. All of those things diminish the reward of your fast, right? So when you're talking about maximizing your fast, you need to make sure you stay away from all those things that are going to what? Impact and affect your fast. Because if you don't stay away from those things, then there's nothing that you're going to get out of the fasting except for starving yourself. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith, رُبَّ صَائِمْ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعُ وَالْعَطَشِ. That a person might be fasting, but the only thing that they get out of their fasting is what? Hunger and thirst. Nothing else. Right? So don't be that person. I want to know what are those things that are going to reduce my fasting and the reward of my fasting so I can stay away from it, right? So if your social media is going to be a means of you falling into that, you got to take action, right? Honestly speaking, like, think about this. There's certain apps that we use that, like, and it's not going to bring us any benefit, right? It's only going to bring us, it's only going to cause us to look at something that's haram, say something that's haram, send something that's haram. Why would I ruin my fast for that? Maybe I should delete that app for Ramadan. Maybe I should just shelf it altogether, right? Because maybe it's gonna trigger me to look at something else, and it's gonna take me down a rabbit hole where all of a sudden now I'm stuck and I'm looking at something that's haram, right? So maybe you need to get rid of that Snapchat in Ramadan, man. Maybe you need to get rid of it. Right? Somebody might say, well, there are some apps that I can get some reminders, that I can watch some videos, that I can benefit. Okay, that's true. But how controlled are you with regards to that? Right? Maybe in that case, you need to clean up your timeline. Maybe you need to clean up the accounts that you follow. Right? Maybe you need to stop, you need to unfollow all those, rappers and musicians and, people of evil that we're following, unfortunately, and get rid of that. Clean up our timeline. Right? Maybe. Right? But if it's going to lead you to that, maybe avoiding altogether is far better, right? Maybe you can't, then downsize a bit, but you have to do some change. You see, you can't have the mindset of saying, I don't want to fall into it, and then have all of the triggers around you. Mm-hmm. Then we're fooling ourselves. We're lying to ourselves, right? Come on. Like, how do you expect not to fall into looking at something haram when it's available around you? So you got to be realistic with yourself. So I would definitely say, when it comes to social media, like, the less screen time you can have, the better. If you can maximize the time in doing that which is good, and if it involves screen time, then make sure it's targeted. Okay, I'm gonna be watching some lectures, some videos, some reminders. Okay, no problem, because you can find a lot of good material in Ramadan for that. but you have to be controlled. How controlled are you gonna be over not falling into watching or looking at or doing things that are haram? Then you at the end of the day, everybody knows their own reality.
I feel like even sometimes, like, just to kind of conclude on that, and you can say something about what I'm about to say too, is some people kind of have that mindset of like Ramadan is something that's temporary. You know what I mean? So this change that I'm going to take hold of is going to be for these 30 days, and then some people don't necessarily have that mindset of, okay, I'm going to go back to listening to music, right? But it's something that kind of steamrolls. And I feel like for me, the way that I at least try to look at Ramadan is it's a means of change, not just for these 30 days, but also for the rest of my life. Like, this is habits that I'm trying to build so that after Ramadan I can continue doing that, right? Let's just say, for example, if I'm struggling with salah, right? Ramadan is a great way for me to keep myself noted on, okay, now I have to pray these 5 times a day. So now after Ramadan, I'm not going to go back to it because now I built that habit, right? So I feel like it's also in terms of perspective, right? One benefit is like you got to look at it like these changes are coming, or I'm taking hold of these changes not just for Ramadan but also after it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm building these steps in order to improve myself through the long haul, not just these 30 days.
Let me try to give an analogy to put some perspective into what Yusuf just said. All right? Imagine you're in prison. You're locked up in a cell. All right? That jail cell door, the bars, you're sealed in. You can't escape it. There's a warden or a guard walking down the hallways. Right, the place is chained up. You can't escape that place. You're shackled. Right, you're in there. You're locked up. And then one day you wake up, and the door's wide open. And you come to the door, and you peek out to make sure, is everything all right? And you just see the other inmates also peeking out, wondering what's going on. There's no guard. There's no alarm going off. What's your natural reaction?
I'm running.
I'm free.
I'm getting out of here. I come to the next step. I see, okay, the whole thing is open. I have a clear line of escape. Like you said, you're running, right? No one is going to be like, hey, there's a glitch going on here. Something's not right. You know what? I'm just going to sit here and wait till the warden comes back and go back and sit in the cell. No sane person is doing that, right? Why am I saying that? The reality of the matter is we are all trapped and imprisoned to some type of desire and some type of sin and some type of evil deed. For one, it might be music. For another one, it might be pornography. For another one, it might be smoking. For another, whatever it is, man, right? We're not perfect. Somebody might be stuck on some type of vice and some type of sin, right? When Ramadan comes in, this is the opportunity where the shackles are being broken off for you to completely escape and run away from that trap that you're trapped in. The environment and the ambiance I just told you has been changed. You have the opportunity now for you to go, right? So the person who has the mindset of, now I'm going to do this until Ramadan is over, and then when Ramadan is done, I'm going to go back, in my opinion, is as foolish as the one who says, yeah, I'm going to go back to the cell and wait till the warden comes back to lock me back in. Right? That should not be your mindset. Your mindset should be, no, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop doing zina. I'm going to stop doing whatever it is that is haram, and I'm not going to go back to it. This is my chance to go back to Allah. I actually have this chance because I'm alive. If I died and I did not make tawbah from this, then I'm stuck. But I actually have this chance to go back and change, and if you do turn back to Allah, Allah will forgive you.
100%.
100%.
How about if someone says, I have too much sins?
100%, brother. Too much sins? What is too much sins?
How about someone says, I how can I even go back? I feel too ashamed.
Did they kill 100 people?
Maybe a couple.
I didn't say a couple. Do they have 100 people that they have murdered?
No.
Why am I saying that? That sounds crazy, right? 100 bodies, people they get killed. Because that happened. That's the hadith Prophet ﷺ told us. This man killed 99 people. And then he went to a monk and he asked the monk, I killed 99 people. Will Allah forgive me? The monk told him, Allah is not going to forgive you. You killed 99 people. And he killed them too. And now he has 100 people that he killed. And he went to a person of knowledge. And that person of knowledge, when he asked him that question, he said, yes, Allah's. In fact, he said, what is going to prevent you from tawbah? What is going to prevent you from the forgiveness of Allah? And he told him, in fact, go to this place, change your environment. And we know this hadith. Go to this place, and because it's a better environment. And the man began going to travel to that place where he really wanted to change. And on his way there, he died. Right, and the two angels came, the angel of mercy and the angel of punishment, each one arguing who's gonna take his, is he gonna go to the hellfire or heaven, or Jannah? And then it was said, compare the distance of where he traveled to where he's headed. If he's closer to where he's going, then he's from the people of Jannah, and he was seen to be closer to there.
SubhanAllah, that's
right?
crazy.
Some narrations even mention from the mercy of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah made the earth move to seem that he was closer to where he was going.
SubhanAllah. That's
right?
crazy.
That's somebody who killed 100 people. So don't come at me and say Allah can't forgive me. In fact, that mindset that you just said right there, that's a trap of shaitan. Because shaitan wants you, right, to not turn back to Allah. Allah wants to forgive you. Allah wants you to turn back to him. But shaitan doesn't want that. Those who follow shaitan, right, the soldiers of shaitan from the human beings and the jinn, right, they don't want you to turn back to Allah. Right? Evil friends and bad people do not want to see you excel. That's a fact. They want you in the gutter with them. Who do you think you are? You're praying. You're putting on a hijab. You're going to the masjid. Don't you know who you are? Didn't you do this and that? You killed somebody. You committed zina this many times. You did this. You did that. You have all these videos online of you in a music video or this. You think Allah's going to forgive you? Why are you acting like you're pious now? Stay here with us, man. That is the evil friend. And that's what Allah in the Quran says. Wallahu yuridu an yatuba alaykum. Right? Allah wants you to make tawbah to him. وَيُرِيدُ الَّذِينَ يَتَّبِعُونَ الشَّهَوَاتِ أَن تَمِيلُوا مَيْلًا عَظِيمًا. As for those who want to follow their desires, they want you to be far away from tawbah. They want you to become further in misguidance. So that should not be your mindset. This Ramadan should be your Ramadan of transformation. You're struggling with salah, this is the time to make dua. Ask Allah to help you in your salah. You're struggling with hijab, ask Allah to help you with that. You're struggling with smoking, ask Allah to help you with that. Not only make dua, but be certain that Allah will help you in your dua. And if you actually put the effort and try, Allah will make it easy for you.
Wallah, you brought up, you kind of combined multiple answers that our listeners asked into one nice and impactful message, and I hope everybody benefits from that. Like you mentioned about dua, and it's something that you mentioned earlier about Shaykh Muhammad Sharif. May Allah have mercy on him. He passed away. I seen some videos of him after he passed away, talking about dua, right? And he was talking about how us as Muslims, we have a limiting belief of dua. Like, for example, we feel like, oh, Allah can't give me this, or I don't deserve this, or I sin too much. How can I? We have that kind of like human, we kind of treat like Allah similar to a human sometimes. Like we're like, oh, I sin too much. How can Allah give me this? Right? So that was some things that I was like, I never really thought about that. And it kind of like clicked in my head like, whoa, maybe he's right. And you mentioned someone who makes dua to, you know what I mean, make him steadfast in his prayers. So one of our listeners actually asked, like, what, like, a lot of times people say Ramadan is the month of dua, and like, what are the times that someone can maximize their dua or make dua in the right times during Ramadan?
That's a good question. I mean, whether it's in Ramadan or outside of Ramadan, there are specific times where it's encouraged to make dua, because the hope is that dua is at a time where the dua is accepted, right? From amongst those times, and in relation to Ramadan, is before the breaking of the fast. And in that time period before a person breaks their fast, is from the times where the dua of the person making dua is accepted. So a person should put effort and emphasis in making dua before the breaking of the fast at the end of the day. Another important time to give emphasis in making dua is the last third of the night, right? The last third of the night, right? Meaning that last, I would say, within that last hour or so before Fajr, that time is one of the best times to make dua, right? And even more so in Ramadan, because not only is that time blessed, being the last third of the night where the Prophet ﷺ tells us that it is a time every night where Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala descends to the lowest heaven, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and actually says, who's going to ask me so I can answer them? Who's going to, ask me for something so I should give them? Who's going to seek their forgiveness, ask me for forgiveness so I can forgive them, right? So this is something that indicates the blessing of that last portion of the night. Coupled with the fact that it is the time period where we are waking up to prepare ourselves for the fasting, to eat our suhoor and in the morning, right? So imagine waking up in the morning and engaging in night prayer and making sincere dua, and the time where dua is accepted, right? And then, eating that meal in the morning where we're told it's a meal that is blessed, right? Most people sleep on this meal, literally sleep on
Literally,
it.
huh?
Like I'm saying literally, I'm talking about like they literally sleep on the suhoor and say, I'm gonna eat a nice big iftar and then I'll wake up in the morning for Fajr. No. You get up and eat that suhoor, because Prophet ﷺ said there's blessing in that meal itself. So that's a time to make dua in the early morning. When you're in sujood, it's from the time the dua is accepted, right? Between the adhan and iqama, right? When the time between the adhan and iqama is when the dua is accepted, right? That last portion before in the salah, that last time before you finish the salah, right? When you're sitting down, after finishing the tashahhud, before saying salam alaikum, that time period is time to make dua as well, right? There are times where you have to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in general, those are times that I encourage even more so, right? That hour on Friday, right? There's a dispute as to when that hour is, but the strongest opinion is that it's the last hour on Friday, the last hour of the day before Maghrib. The last hour before Maghrib on Friday is a time when the dua is accepted, to engage in making dua, right? And then also make it a point to do those things, right? To prepare yourself for your dua, in terms of when you make dua. Make wudu, right? Face the qibla, sit somewhere, right? And get in the zone of the dua that you're making. And if a person takes those steps, then it's almost impossible for their dua to be turned away.
But a lot of people say I made dua for this, it didn't happen, or they don't have is there a certainty if I make a dua for something, Allah will accept it?
First of all, your mindset has to always be off the bat, off the cuff. Your mindset always has to be, as the Prophet ﷺ told us, "Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba." Make dua to Allah while you have certainty that Allah will accept it. So that has to be your mindset coming in. Always, when I'm making dua, I have no doubt Allah will accept my dua. Now, that dua itself might not be, either several things can happen. Either the dua will be accepted exactly the way you asked it, and you'll get exactly how you asked it. Or it could be that dua is given to you in a way where it's actually something that was going to befall you, that was harmful to you, is actually prevented and protected from you. And that dua was a means of preventing some harm from happening to you, right? Or that dua that you asked for in multiple, or in greater reward, will be given to you in the akhirah. And either way, that dua is coming to you, right? Sometimes it might not be immediate. Sometimes it might be delayed. It might come at another time, at a time that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala sees the best for you. But your mindset always has to be ask, and never quit on making dua. And in fact, being hasty to quit on your dua and feel like, my dua is not being accepted, and quitting is actually itself a problem, right? Because now you are in turn doubting the reality of Allah Ta'ala accepting your dua, right? And that's how can you dare doubt that when we know for a fact Allah says, ask me and I will accept and I will respond to you. Afwan.
You will, 100%.
Ud'uni astajib lakum. That's the Quran. That's Allah saying that. Allah is saying, ask me and I will respond. Not me saying it, Allah saying it. You ask Allah, Allah will respond. Khalas. Right? And that's why you have to have that concept of I submit and I give in, and I know Allah will accept my dua.
And also, like, maybe you can touch on the aspect of, like, not belittling what you ask. Like, ask for the best.
Yes, absolutely. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, إِذَا سَأَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ فَاسْأَلُوهُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ فَإِنَّهُ أَعْلَى الْجَنَّةِ وَأَوْسَطَ الْجَنَّةِ. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith that if you're going to ask Allah for Jannah, ask Allah for Al-Firdaus. Don't be like, oh Allah, just allow me to enter into Jannah, even if I get stone throw in. If I'm at the gate, if I'm in, I'm in. No, ask for Firdaus. Why? It's the highest level of Jannah. It is the most middle part of Jannah. It is under the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is from where the springs, the four rivers of paradise spring from. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. The point of that dua, the point of my mentioning the hadith is, our dua has to be one that is lofty. What we're asking for has to have some type of lofty, high aspiration. We shouldn't just ask for the bare minimum.
Another question that one of our listeners asked, and it's kind of points back to like you said, you got married early, and this listener, they got married early as well.
Okay, mashallah.
And they're actually experiencing their first Ramadan as we speak right now. Inshallah, if they reach this, if they listen to this. So they wanted to ask for any advice as like a newly married couple, maybe a story.
MashaAllah. First of all, mabruk to them. This should be an encouragement for you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Should be an encouragement for you brothers, man. This brother is, mashallah, spending his first Ramadan married, brother. You guys are going to have your Ramadan masakeen. Allah musta'an. Right? So, mashallah, first of all, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his marriage.
Ameen.
And her marriage, them too, and bless their family. In terms of, I guess, encouragement or advice, I mean, it's an opportunity. You have to understand, like, marriage is the beginning of a household, right? And the logic or the mindset coming in has to be, I am beginning an Islamic household, right? I want my home to be one that is built upon or established upon the foundations that we are servants of Allah. We worship Allah, right? And what an opportunity it is for now to be starting your first Ramadan together, making that habit, right? Going to the masjid for Taraweeh, right? If you want to pray Qiyamul Layl at home, you lead her in Salah, right? Having iftar together, having suhoor together, right? Maybe together, encouraging each other to, get involved in, giving some charity together, spacing out your charity, to give to different causes, whatever it might be. But now you have, like, this is how your mindset should be about it. That now, like, we're all in this journey, in this dunya, trying to get to Jannah. But now you got your queen beside you, bro. Huh? You got your queen beside you, man. You're the king with your queen trying to get to Jannah, and you're working together to get there, brother. Allahu Akbar. You guys are masakeen, man. You guys are missing out, bro. I'm telling you. Listeners that are unmarried, brothers, the sisters that are Allah, I make dua for all you guys in Ramadan that Allah gets you guys married. Say Ameen, man.
Ameen.
Right? Just imagine that, bro. You're encouraging each other, to do that which is khair, right? You're fasting together, right? Going to qiyam together, right? All that good stuff, man. And just make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, makes your marriage one that is, that preserves your marriage, takes care of you, grows that love and mercy and respect and harmony between you two, right? Because you're still getting to know each other, right? You're still getting to know, and even if you're together for a long time, I mean, you're getting to know each other, but ask Allah to instill in you patience, right? It's one of the most important things, that you have to be patient as a husband. Be patient with your wife. As a wife, be patient with your husband. You're gonna new habits, new things, new pet peeves, things you're not used to, right? You gotta be patient with each other, right? And just engage in that ibadah together with sincerity, and Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, will bless it for you. Ask Allah to bless you guys with, children that are pious, that are obedient servants of Allah, right? And for the most important thing is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep your iman firm, and to protect you from all sorts of fitan, right? That's one thing I'll say. Ask Allah for protection, because another thing you have to realize is shaitan works hard towards trying to break up families, Right? I know it sounds a bit dark, as Yusuf said earlier, huh? In terms of speaking about a newly married couple, right? But you have to understand that shaitan, the shayateen, there's a hadith actually mentions this where, the shayateen, the soldiers of Iblis that he would send out to do different tasks to cause corruption and evil, they would come back at the end of the day with the report. Hey, what did you do? Yeah, today I caused two people to fight. He say, move out of the way. You, what did you do? I caused somebody to commit this haram deed. You move out of the way. One person will come, one of the shayateen will come and say, I caused the husband and wife to split. And he'll be like, you, come here. And he'll put him beside him on his throne, and he'll put a little crown on him, and he'll tell him, this is the man right here. This is the one. So the other ones will be encouraged. Oh, right? And sometimes people might think, why is it so easy for, why would a husband and wife sometimes, argue so easily or fight so easily? Or you have to understand that shaitan is also at play here, trying to cause the small arguments will happen for the small. People will think, well, why are we arguing over the smallest things, right? You have to understand also there's shaitan at play too, right? So ask Allah for protection, right? From the shayateen, protection from the evil eye of people. Right, that's a real thing, right? And just make dua and enjoy, brother, sister, newly married. Allahumma barik, man. They're in that, that shahrul asal phase, as we call it, right? That honeymoon. Huh? Allahumma barik. May Allah increase it for them.
Ameen.
And let it be an encouragement for all you other, single brothers and sisters to get married and just keep it halal, man. Keep it halal.
I have a quick question. You spoke a little bit about your experience kind of working within the community. You kind of talked about running different programs within the city. So I also work with the city, right? You kind of mentioned earlier, and I work with a lot of youth. One thing that I just don't necessarily see nowadays is a lot of programs that are targeted towards the youth, right? Maybe it might just be because it's not maybe as well known. I'm a lot older now, but from what I'm hearing, there's not a lot of what's the word? There's not a lot of, what's the word?
Community
There's not a lot
engagement?
of programs. That's what I was looking for. There's not a lot of
Okay.
programs. And so some people could, put that on, you know what I mean? Some of the older generation.
Yeah.
Some people could say, yo, this is, you know what I mean? It's the young bucks. You guys got to take hold of that. So number one, what do you have to say about that? Or what are your opinions? Who do you feel like should take reign on that? That's number one. And number two, what are some, because you were talking about Sunnah Swag and some of the different other programs that you kind of ran. So what are your...
Or a part of, not necessarily ran.
A part of. That's what I... But there were other different types of programs you were mentioning before. So what are your advice towards people who are taking reign of different programs and they want to start with the best of intentions? What can they do in order to garner a lot of youth to come, number one, to their program, right? And number two, it's how to make it successful. What would you kind of give your advice on it?
Yeah, to answer your first question about who's the responsibility on, I think it's on everyone, bro. I think it's on everyone who in whatever capacity you can, right? See, everybody can play a role. Everybody doesn't have to wear the exact same hat, right? As long as you know where your strengths are at, what angle you can support with, bring that to the table, right? Because everybody has something to offer. Everyone, brother or sister, has something to offer to the younger folks, right? The most important thing is that we're motivating them to do that which is of benefit for them with regards to their deen and their dunya, right? That's the most important thing. We want to get people to be motivated to do that which is the best for them with regards to their deen and their dunya. So how can you fit in, whether it's getting involved with an ongoing program that's there and trying to help out to bolster that in whatever skill set you have, or if you feel like you have the capacity to start something from scratch, you and people who are like-minded like you, then you have to make that decision. But it's on you at whatever capacity it is, right? I'm not of the mindset of, it's your turn or it's so and so. No, whatever you're able to do, you're able to do. If you don't have the capacity to do it because of time, or you feel like now I'm at a time in my life where I want to focus on something else other than this or another thing that's of benefit, whatever it might be, you have to know what your level and your capacity is, right? So I think for the younger generation, there are. You're right. There's not a lot of things that are happening. Things could happen, but we have to also come to realization that things have changed in a very short span of time, right? Interests that young people and things that young people are interested in are not the same as they were 10 years ago,
You're right.
5 years ago, even,
Mhm.
right? It's not the same. Like, it's, for me, I find it to be a bit shocking that there's not a lot of young people that are as interested as playing ball as before. I think that's wild,
That's
You're
actually
right.
true. That's actually true.
right? Like before, bro, like if you say there's an open gym somewhere or there's ball
It's
somewhere,
packed.
it's packed.
Mhm.
People are coming out. It's not like that anymore, right? And like I said, now things have shifted. People are more online than before, right? People want to play Fortnite and Roblox and I don't know what else the kids are playing now, right? It's so yes, there is an element of activities and people still go to the community center or go to the gym or there's still that for sure, and there's still ways to get to youth from that angle. But I think also knowing what the challenges are, where they're connected to, and getting at them from that angle as well,
Mhm.
right? And then utilizing that to bring them to that which you find is going to be of benefit to them,
Mhm.
whether it's now Islamically geared programming, whether that involves recreation or it's more educational, motivational, etc.
Mhm.
Right? So your first question's answer is there is more that needs to be done, and that's all of us to do so. And you just need to figure out where can I get in, where I fit in, to push that envelope forward and help the community.
Mhm.
Right? Your second question, remind me again. It was about like examples of like what I would suggest.
Like advice towards the people who are trying to start these
Yeah.
programs.
I would say number one, sincerity. I think that's the most important thing. That the reason why you're getting involved in helping the youth, the community, is that you're number one doing this for the sake of Allah. I'm not doing this to become famous, to get a name, to be known, to be praised for some brownie points. Because the moment that's my mindset, I've lost the plot. The moment that's my mindset, I've lost the plot. I'm trying to do this to change the environment for that which is better, and I'm doing that sincerely for the sake of Allah. So for me, my mindset has to be, this is an act of, because now that's an act of worship. I'm doing this to attain the pleasure of Allah, right? So I have to be sincere, right? And also my sincerity has to also be coupled or be connected with, making sure what I'm doing is correct. I'm not doing anything that's against the deen, against the sunnah, right? I'm doing something that's correct, right? So number one, being sincere. Number two, and along with sincerity is obviously doing the right thing. Number two, I would say, be focused on what it is that you want to do and what you want to achieve. Have a plan, and surround yourself with people who are like-minded or people who can help you in making that happen, right? I think a lot of times that becomes far more effective than when you have people who are part of the team but they're not really motivating, they're not really helping get to the goal, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you don't make a team just for the sake of making a team, for the sake of the members, no, it's like what is our goal, what is our mission,
Mhm.
right? What is our objective here? I'm trying to do a basketball program, for example, right? A drop-in, for example, right? What is the goal? What do I need to get done? What do we need to achieve? What do we need to do to make this better? Who do we need to get involved? Who's skilled at this, right? And getting those people involved and not making it centered around you. I think that's very important, man.
Mhm.
Because the moment the mindset is this program is centered around me, and if I'm the star of the show, then you lose the purpose, because the program is supposed to run even if you're not there.
Mhm.
The mindset of me starting something or being involved in something is that it needs to work in a way where even if I'm not in the picture, this thing is still going. The benefit still continues,
Mhm.
right? So if there's a way to facilitate it in a way where it works that way, that would be the best. And I think sincerity plays in a big part in that, and just having the right mindset, the right plan, the right course of action, and knowing what you're good at and what your skill set is, and just staying on your lane,
Okay.
right? Like there's certain things that you're good at that I'm not good at. I need to give you your props for that and allow you to do that and support you in how you feel you can, and vice versa. And everybody has their own. And that's, I think, from that angle, that makes a lot of efforts, move forward the most. But if my mindset is no, I'm the first and the last. I'm the sheikh and the guy who's doing everything, and it's either my way or the highway. Then what is this? What are we doing at the end of the day, right? So I gotta know what I'm doing, man. I gotta know my lane. I know, hey, man, this is your thing. You know, Yusuf, Ismail, Khalid, you guys do your thing. We pop in, you invite your guests. This is your lane, brother. You podcasters, man. This is your thing, right? You do your thing. We support. You know, you reach out to whoever else is good at what. You want to talk about business. You want to talk about IT. You want to talk about, you know, I don't know, whatever it might be. You go to the experts for whatever that thing is. And with that, everything now, you know, comes up. I wanna do some podcasting thing. I'm gonna be like, yo, you guys have been doing this. Give me some advice. Help me out. What do you think I should do? You think it's a good way to? We'll hack it up. That's the best way for things to work together. People, you know, we network and we utilize each other's skills, and we bolster whatever idea you have using that, right? So you're in the scene now. You're involved in community work, right? You come up with ideas. You've made the connection. You have the experience. You know the kids. You know the needs. You know. You take it to your advantage. You feel like, you know what, I want to add this component of it. Get this person on my team. This person's good at this. I'll let them run this. This person's good at that. I'll let them do that. I think that mindset will help things move forward.
I think also, like, on that point, that's to kind of conclude, I think that I love the point about, like, it's not just one person's, like, job, like, young or old. I think it's a community thing. And a lot of the times, like, sometimes, especially the older generation, they have that mindset of, like, you know, it's a little flawed, but at the same time, it's like the community will kind of raise my kids. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, I have my, like, a perfect example is I had, you know, I kind of talked about it, about my experience living in Kenya. But back home, it's like one person is raised by the community. It feels like, you know what I mean? All the parents kind of have their hand in raising these kids, you know? So the thing is, I feel like it's everybody's job, young and old, to kind of put their, I guess, like, flavoring on these specific types of programs, because I feel like with the older generation, it's coming from a place of wisdom. You know what I mean? They have a lot of experience. They've lived their lives. And then also with the young, it's also coming at it from a stance of, I connect with you. There's a lot of things that you might like that I also might like. You know what I mean? For example, you know, you won't find a 45-year-old man, you know what I mean, liking to play games, for example, Fortnite. Whereas you have a younger guy who's 25 that played Fortnite, you know what I mean? And it's that connectivity that might garner that program to start to end up becoming successful. So me personally, I just kind of feel like it's something that's essential. And I feel like a lot of people should not necessarily start, but at least have a hand in raising the next generation. You know, and I think that it's something that's big, and it's something that's powerful, and it's something that we don't necessarily talk a lot about. Just because we're so focused on ourselves. But I think that we as people, especially like the people that are watching, like, we're a lot younger, you know what I mean? So I think it's something that we should all take at least a bit of our time, and at least showing or giving at least a little bit of benefit towards the next generation. If it's educational, if it's just like putting in an hour a day and spending time with your cousins, for example, that's the smallest thing you could do, you know, starting within your own family, and then from there kind of bringing it up with maybe even community people. But that's just my 2 cents on it.
Man, you just opened up a whole door for me, because that opens up a whole other discussion of a lot of very important things, and that is with regards to the mindset of what I can say our generation, of those of us who are born and raised here, and the responsibility on our shoulders, right? You know, like I stand by the point when I say the responsibility is on all of us, right? Now, you have to understand that the elders 30 years ago, 20 years ago, were our age. When you look at it like that, your whole perception or perspective changes. Because when our parents came to Canada 30 years ago, they were in their 30s. Some of them were in their 20s. Right? They were literally our age. They had their challenges. They had their, integrating, getting used to things, whatever other challenges they faced. Right? Now we have grown up. Some of us in my case, we have our own kids now. Right? So there are challenges. There are, and I can speak for the Somalis specifically, and the challenges are very similar across the diaspora in different parts of the world, wherever they might be. You have this challenge of sometimes the elders, on one hand, you'll always hear from them saying, hey, the responsibility is on you guys now, you're the next generation, right? But at the same time, there's also that sense of, oh, you guys are not it. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Like, there's this sense of you guys, you guys, sometimes there's a sense of comparing us to them, So they feel like, oh, the next generation, they're still kids. They're not serious. Some aspects of it they might be right, but some aspects of it I totally disagree. And sometimes I feel like our generation sometimes have internalized and accepted that mindset. That yeah, we're still young. We still don't have that responsibility. Everybody's kind of fending for themselves, right? That community aspect of things that we see from our parents' generation is almost lost in our sense, because our parents on one hand have been drilling down the throats of each and every one of us, dadal, work hard, go to school, career, this, that. So without realizing, we've been kind of bred, or we've been kind of programmed to think very individualistically. So everyone's now in their own career path and their own thing, but that sense of community, looking out for the other, coming together is almost lost, right?
Yeah.
And now we're at an age where, hey, we have to think of, like, we have to be the ones saying, you know what, we're the leaders, and we have to utilize our elders, not say they're done, no, but we need their experience, we need their wisdom, we need them, that from them. They have years of experience. You need the experience from them, but the youthful exuberance and the leadership and the action has to come from us. I don't if you're 25, 24, university, that responsibility is now you are now. The future is now. We hear these terms too much of, oh, you guys are the future. La, 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 la. The future is for us is now. Our kids, their future. That's future. Right? Like I told you guys, inshallah, get married, guys. Come on.
Inshallah.
You know, so you guys can have your kids. They're the future, right? But when I look at myself, my son is 10 right now.
Already?
Yes,
MashaAllah,
he's 10.
MashaAllah.
Allahumma barik.
Allahumma barik.
Right? 15 years from now, he's 25. That's nothing. I finished high school 17 years ago. Put that into perspective.
Damn.
Oh, damn. 15, yeah, damn. That's right.
That was a hassle.
Remind me of that. I saw a clip where Kevin Hart, there was a guy who was interviewing, where the guy said 50. He's like, damn. They're going back and forth arguing that. No, I didn't say it like that. No, you said it like that. Yeah. That's what you're to me right now. You gave me one of those,
my
man.
bad, Shaykh. My bad, Shaykh.
It's not good. But the point is, like, hey, like, it's real. Like, I try to harp this over and over again. Like, we need to understand that, listen, man, it's right now. Right? So that's why I'm saying, like, once we have that mindset, it changes the like, we take ownership now. That's what I really want. Like, if there's any message I'm going to send out to all of you regular listeners to 2.5 Mollies, that's my message. You have to take ownership of and responsibility of, you know, being a part of the moving forward of the community, the Muslim community. You have to. You have to get involved actively. I want to get involved in the masjid. I want to get involved in this program. I want to get involved in this. I want to start that. I want to volunteer. I take the initiative. I want to learn my deen. I want to practice. I want to apply. I want to help. But this mindset of, I'm just going to it's so and so is going to handle it. No way.
You know what's crazy? I was just thinking about this when you guys are, Yusuf and, you know, Shaykh Abdirahman were talking, is that I was thinking about how, like, you know, this was a very interesting discussion, you know. We started off with talking about oneself and, you know, changing oneself, and then we kind of transitioned to, like, now, like, changing the community. You know what I mean? And I heard, like, a famous quote that's, like, someone said that I was looking to change the world, but I couldn't. And that my country, and I couldn't. My region, and I couldn't. But he was on his deathbed. He said, if I only started with changing myself, then that's what would have bred change across the globe. So it would be myself, then my family, my community, working inwards then outwards. And that kind of made me realize that right now.
How amazing is that, man? How amazing is that?
That was a great quote.
No, think about this. I don't know who that person is, but that person had an entire lifetime to figure out when he was dying that change starts where?
At yourself.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says specifically that you will never be able to change the situation of a nation until you change yourself.
SubhanAllah. That's crazy.
See, that right there is an example to prove that the Quran is what?
It's the truth.
Guidance. Right? If that guy just had the guidance from the beginning to be told, you will change everything if you start from yourself. He wouldn't have to go through a whole lifetime of learning the hard way and then finding out when he's dying that it had to start from him. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. So actual change can only happen when you start with, if I start with me, and you start with you, and you start with yourself, and you start with yourself, and then we start changing those who we have influence over, those who are close to me, my family, my friends, so on and so forth. Each and every one of us does that. Each person in their neighborhood does that. It's not going to be the same. Things are going to change. But if our mindset is, oh, I want to do the big impossible thing, or I'm just going to let somebody else make the change, nothing's going to happen.
Wallahi, it's amazing, man. And you know what's crazy is that, you know, you guys flooded the questions with a lot of questions, and you know we don't obviously we Jazakallah khair, Shaykh Abdirahman. You know, you spent almost 2 hours with us right now. You know, it's probably as late at night. You know, you have family and stuff, so we really appreciate you being here. And we have a lot of questions, so you guys need to comment below if you guys want a part 2 where we answer the rest of your questions. And if you guys want Shaykh Abdirahman back, let us know, and we can have another section with a lot of, like, you guys can talk about, you know, there's an anonymous question site on Instagram. You guys check out our Instagram and the link in the bio, and you can submit questions anonymously if you don't feel comfortable with like saying it to us. So you can submit them anonymously, and we can, inshallah, we can maybe if you allow us, you know, to have another episode with you, we can we can bang them out. But I just want to say Jazakallah khair, Shaykh Abdirahman. We really appreciate you being here. You taking your time out of the busy schedule of being a imam, and just want to give a plug as well for the people living in Ottawa. Shaykh Abdirahman is one of the heads of Imam Shafi'i Center. So if you guys are interested in learning more about your religion, check out Imam Shafi'i Center, as well as you're restarting Resurrection as well. So if you guys live in Ottawa, check out Resurrection. And we're also looking at the new face of the main mosque, Ottawa Main Mosque. So if you guys want to see, check out and learn more, visit the Scott Mosque. So you can see Shaykh Abdirahman there, usually giving Friday khutbahs and such of that. Did I clear out everything?
Yeah, I mean, mashallah, I was not ready for a nice plug like that, but man, I appreciate it. Should we add Instagram and all the other stuff as well?
It'll be in the description. Don't worry.
But before I leave, I wanted to ask you guys the question before I leave. Just get to my mind. I want to ask you guys this: when was the first time I met you, Yusuf?
The first time you met me, I think it was probably at Islamic school.
I don't remember when though. Do you remember?
I think it might have been the gym classes that you might have done, because I was always friends with your brother. Yeah. My bad, Abu Dawood. I might just blur out the name and just...
Abu Dawood. Respect, the other kunya now.
So I was always friends with Abu Dawood. So the thing is, I feel like I think we always kind of knew of each other, but at the same time, we weren't very well acquainted. I think once we started to have conversations and really get to know each other was after that, when I came back from Kenya. So I think that was the first time we actually started having discussions. Before then, I was fairly young.
How about you, Ismail?
Me, I'm not gonna lie to you, it might be very early because my older brother, he was going to the, like you said, the Sunnah side programs. So my first interaction with you was just rejection. You're like, nah, you're too young. But
your brother graduated before I came to Islamic school.
But he was part of the programs. He used to come to the events. Yeah. So and we lived nearby, so he would walk, and sometimes I'd be like, let me try to come in. But that's kind of my earliest thing. But I also remember you as well, as Yusuf said, as being a teacher as well. And actually, it's funny. Last episode, I talked about one of the times you called everybody to the gym on Valentine's Day. Last episode, I talked about how you told everybody to come to the gym, and you said, and then they said even grade 7, grade 8 come, right? And I was in grade 7. I was like, okay, I want the big dogs, Okay. And then you came up and you're like talking about Valentine's Day and how it's not for Muslims.
Yeah.
And I still remember that. You're like, a sister brought a brother 2K16. That's all I remember.
I remember that now that you mentioned it. Yeah, I remember. It was not 2K16. It was older than that. It was like 2K12 or something like that.
2K12, yeah.
That was crazy. That was a crazy story.
Yeah, it's a full circle moment, man.
Even now that I'm thinking about it.
I remember that.
That's what I remember.
I remember that. I remember one time we were playing funny story. We had a gym class because I don't think you were our specific. Smile.
He wasn't.
Like Ron, he wasn't our gym teacher specifically, but there was times when you'd fill in for our teacher. Because I think like Abdullah, his name, Brother Ryan, who's usually our
Brother
gym
Ryan.
teacher, right?
Brother
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
yeah.
so I remember a couple times we came. I
Good
remember.
brother, man. That was my guy.
Yeah.
One of the best teachers I had.
I think that was when, speaking of kind of like a reference to the other episode that I was talking about, he had a really big impact, and I feel like on myself, just based off of that 1 year. And it goes to show, like some small like bits of him, I feel like translated, or I tried to emulate of him based off of small things he would do. You know what I mean? So he's a very good brother.
Yeah, he was a good brother. He was involved in the da'wah in those days too, and we were on campus around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Good brother, mashallah.
Yeah, but I remember he used to do. We had a gym class where we were doing football, and then I remember I did something. I forgot. Like I think I might have hurt the brother, like while we were playing football.
Teacher.
Yeah, the teacher.
Okay.
Right, and then after, I think the next class, I think you were filling in for him. He was absent that day. Maybe it's because of the injury. I don't know. But anyways,
The guy, man.
so the next day, the next gym class we had, I remember it was with you, and I think we were playing football that day too. But this time it was on the snow. I remember that specifically. Do you remember that, Smile?
Yeah, I remember that.
We were playing football
You didn't
outside.
hurt me though.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
That one, I said, yo, I don't want to hurt the brother today, man.
I don't know about you wanted to hurt it. You couldn't do it, brother.
Oh man.
Nothing
but-
but love, akhi. Nothing but love, man.
yeah.
Jazakumullah khair. No, I appreciate again the invitation. Inshallah, hopefully we'll do this again for sure. Inshallah.
Inshallah,
I
inshallah.
really appreciate it. And if you guys are sticking around this long, we really appreciate you for listening. If you like the content that we're providing this Ramadan, let us know. It only helps us to motivate us and keep putting out more content.
Absolutely.
And we really appreciate you. And if you're here at this point, you might as well hit the subscribe button.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Push
And
the
you know-
notifications.
Push notifications.
Turn on the notifications.
Everything.
Tell them smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
Yeah, be aggressive.
Smash it.
There you go. That's what they do right on the podcast.
Yeah, smash the like
Smash that
button.
like button.
And 2.5 months are out. Assalamu alaikum, man.